Okay, Sistas fans, now we're talking season 7, episode 17, Taste of Freedom. Now, originally, this episode was going to get a 7.5 out of 10. I thought it was decent. I don't think it was as good as last week's episode, but I said, you know what? Despite a few shortcomings here and there, Maurice scenes I wish were cut, the just overuse of ultimatums and weird character motivations aside, it was pretty solid. But I did find myself looking at the clock a few times. I will say that. And even though I did like the ending of the episode, I'm like, okay, Gary, this is way too convoluted, but Cheeto's acting, because you could tell he's enjoying this, just playing unhinged characters like this. The plan and all of having Andy dead to rights was amazing. But then during my live stream, when I recounted the scene and talked about it out loud, I realized that not only is this plan convoluted, Gary revealed way too much information. And then there were just way too many circumstances where things should not have played out the way they did because Andy ran her mouth. Why in the world were there no other people in the parking garage? And on top of that, Andy could just tell Agent Watt the situation and then the feds can, swoop in and take care of this. I mean, not to jump too far ahead into the episode, but let's be real here. Gary is threatening to talk to the cartel, and then that would put Jordan's life at risk. And I'm like, well, his sister is in witness protection. You don't think the same could be done for Jordan in order to protect him until this whole thing blows over? Really? I don't know. And then that would just blow everything up. So, yeah, it's just a weird plan. I mean, it sounds impressive, but it's just like, really, man? Like, I could see the writers had some form of ambition by doing this. And, on the surface, like, oh, wow, this is really crazy. But no. All right, well, let's talk about what we do know in terms of the order of operations here. Now, Ethan hands over some photos that has Gary just giddy. And I mean, male and female prostitutes and just a whole bunch of very, very public persona damaging images and apparently videos too. So Gary has Jordan dead to rights. All he has to do is hit the button and his entire political career and livelihood will be ruined. Now, something interesting here is that Ethan, he seemed a bit nervous or a bit like, oh, wow, okay, I'm glad this guy is enjoying my work, but I didn't know he was like this crazy. I mean, even Hudson kind of looked a bit, unsettled by how, just excited Gary was about this entire thing. It just feels like, could Ethan possibly be a turncoat? I don't know, but it just seems like one of those things where I keep my eye on this guy. So Jordan wakes up and his head is killing him. Apparently, he just doesn't remember much of anything from the night before. Andy comes in to check on him and basically tells him, like, look, I know you're going through a lot right now, but you got to be more careful. Like, don't be drinking yourself to sleep to get your mind off like the political stuff and especially your sister. And she promises to come over later tonight to make dinner and just kind of get, his mind off everything. So then from there, we go over to Ethan, who comes in, and apparently there's an update on the DA who is on their side now, and that'll help their campaign out a lot. And Jordan is like, so, what happened last night? Like, I don't really remember much of anything. So what time did you leave? And he says, around 9. And, you walked me out the door and whatnot, and everything was cool. We had a good time. I remember you grilling me about finding a girl like Andy, and then he apologizes for, trying to push him to drink and whatnot. But Ethan kind of reassures him like, hey, you know what? I think it's what we both needed to kind of just let go of everything and then, refocus for everything that's coming forward in the campaign trail. And then, that's about it. So Jordan just kind of takes it at face value. So I don't know. But like I said, Ethan, the way he looked at Gary when Gary was just going on and on about how great the photos were, it's like, I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to turn into like a good guy, but I just feel like he's going to question Gary. Now, we go over to the bank scene, and if you watch my video, which was the sneak peek breakdown of this scene prior to the episode airing, then I'm not going to go into full detail because everything I said in that sneak peek video turned out to happen. So basically, one, Maurice and Grayson are living together now, which makes absolutely no sense because haven't they only known each other for like a couple of weeks at best? The dude has already convinced him to quit his fixation page and go back to a regular job. And now he's living with him. Make it make sense. And even worse is that later in the episode, when Maurice gets home, Grayson is nowhere to be found. And he's not even answering his phone calls. He's going right to voicemail, probably meaning he's blocked him. And then when he goes to the club, he meets up with Chris to talk about everything going wrong. And then he sees Grayson over there across the room or on the dance floor talking to another dude who he claims is his co-worker. And then Maurice tells him, you know what, that pencil you got, I'm just going to mail it to you. Don't bother coming back to my place. I don't want you. I don't want you no more. I don't want you. I don't want you. Basically a reference to Katherine Jackson from The American Dream, which was pretty funny. But yeah, the Maurice stuff, that is skippable. Like, there was no point of this. I don't really know what the writers are doing with Maurice, and I don't know if I like it. Now, when he's at the bank and Rich and Sabrina are talking and this man is literally swatting away customers so he can eavesdrop, was just messed up but funny in so many ways, considering the fact that, wait, didn't the customers complain to corporate about his work demeanor? So don't you think he's probably going to pile up even more complaints and lose his job again? I don't know. But yeah, so Rich and Sabrina are talking and he's over there to apologize, and she just immediately jumps to the whole, oh, well, you're interrogating me because you think I'm trying to trap you. And it's like, he didn't even say all that. He just asked if you're on birth control. Now, the only people he's talked with in regards to, I wonder if she's trying to trap me, were his boys. So the question is, Sabrina, you're acting awfully abrasive. I mean, were you trying to trap him? You're acting like you were because you're trying to, just be all nonchalant about it. So originally I thought she was, but then it got to the point where I'm like, nah, she's not trying to trap him. Rich is just being stupid. But now it's like, nah, I mean, every time Sabrina's backed into a corner when a guy calls her out for being foul, it usually means she had ill intentions and now she's being called out about it. So it's either get with the program, no sex, and I'm having this baby, or get lost. So there's that. And then later in the episode, she's on the phone with Andy about this situation. And then Andy's like, well, Sabrina, me and the girls are talking. And I mean, if you and Rich aren't on the same page about something as big as children, then maybe it's best for you to just cut ties with each other. So we got Fatima, who's seeing the Cheshire Cats get out of the car. Marie and Hayden just grinning at each other because Hayden gave her a ride into work. And then she goes upstairs to wait for him. And then Fatima just knows something is up. And then they, Hayden and Fatima have their classic sibling exchange. It's just crazy to me. I wish they never wrote in the part about them having a one night stand. Like them going on one date, fine. But the one night stand, they could have just left that out because these two are like brother and sister, the way they go back and forth at each other. And I gotta say, like, I'm not saying that I want Hayden to be partner because I don't think neither him or Andy deserve the spot. But Fatima just looking for any reason to, like, sabotage Hayden because, I mean, yeah, him trying to one-up Andy is one thing. Him trying to sabotage Andy is another. And I think him doing whatever it takes to get the one-up isn't grounds for Fatima to, like, threaten to bust his kneecaps or whatnot. I think that Hayden is very capable. It's just that if you look past his underhanded snake in the grass tendencies, you will see. Look, here's the thing. Can we all agree on this? Regardless as to how you feel about Hayden as a character, can we agree that he puts more effort and time into his job than Andy does? Can we agree on that? I think that is fair. I think we can all evaluate the characters and go, you know what, Jeremy? You're right. Because I feel like Andy puts less than like 30% into her job because her attention is all about the sister circle and then the stuff with Gary, then the Penelope stuff, her own relationship with Jordan. Everything else comes before her job, which is kind of sad. And she wants to be partner to have her name on the side of the building. Come on now. But regardless, Fatima calls Andy about the situation and is like, oh, I'm 20 minutes out. Like, girl, you better get here fast because, these two grin at each other. It's not going to be good. And then Andy says, when I make partner, the first thing I want to do is cut him loose. And I'm thinking, like, Hayden is one of the top earners in your attorney employee list. So go ahead, Andy. So I'm thinking, like, even if Andy makes partner, you really think she's going to act any differently like she already does? Man, it's crazy. So when she does eventually get to work, she sees Marie, who again is just smiling and grinning because the meeting with Hayden is over. It was an impromptu meeting because she wasn't on the schedule. Turns out that the ex leaked a bunch of private stuff on social media that's gotten a lot of traction, and she's not even worried about it. She's on cloud nine. It's like, oh, I'll go off about it later, but for right now, basically, Hayden will give you the rundown of the situation, and he comes in and just smiling, and then as soon as Marie leaves, it's back to being venomous. And Andy's like, why didn't you tell me? And it's like, well, Andy, even if he told you, you were like almost 30 minutes away. And I mean, it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So they grill him about the situation, and it's like, nah. And I had to applaud Hayden because last week he was taking a bunch of crap from these two. But now it's like, no, I feel you in. Basically, be on top of your game. And you can't be mad. Look, him having sex with Marie aside, you can't be mad at the fact that he's active. I mean, what was it earlier? A few episodes ago, there was an impromptu meeting in the middle of the night, and Andy was nowhere to be found. And she couldn't blame Hayden because Marie called her and him. It's just that she never picked up the phone. Because I think at that point she was at the police station with Jordan, I believe, about Penelope. So, again, say what you will about Hayden, but at least he puts more effort into the job than Andy does. And I'm standing on that hill. I'm not going to say I'm dying on it. I'm standing on it. So over at the airport, Tony's getting a bit frisky with Danny and mentioning the fact that, hey, tonight I'm actually having dinner with the kids and Tiffany too. And Danny's like, oh, well, can I come? We can make it actually it's just the four of us, because me and Tiffany are trying to have a united front for the sake of the kids because they took the divorce hard. But that just brings about an even greater question. How long have they been divorced? Because, we didn't get any exact time frames, but when he and Rich first met Danny and Sabrina and mentioned how they both got divorced, it just seemed like it was something that happened quite a while ago as opposed to rather recently. Because, they are like, preteens and whatnot, but for them to, united front and whatnot, it just feels like, I don't know. Some people during the live stream speculated, they probably got a divorce about a year or so. Plus, Tiffany, based on her demeanor at the dinner itself, it definitely feels like she's trying to get back together with her man or her ex-man. X-Men 97. Great cartoon. But either way, her ex-husband. And honestly, though, I'm with Tony on this one. I'm glad he shot down Danny's attempt to try to, go to the dinner. It wouldn't be a great idea. Plus, regardless as to how you feel about Tiffany, she came to, bond with her kids, but you could tell there's the whole thing about her really isolating Danny because honestly, they've only been dating for a couple of months and she's only got to spend time with those kids 2 or 3 times. So it just, no, I don't think it's a good fit, but that's just me. So then, he promises that after the dinner, he will come over to her place, It's like, look, I'll call when I get to the restaurant and then I'll come right over here, but make sure you stay up. So they get to the dinner and I gotta say, Tiffany, oh my goodness, like that army uniform does not do you justice because, the hair, the smile, good googly moogly, she looked good. But basically, you could tell this woman wants her husband back, Like, there's a difference between, putting on a strong united front for the sake of the kids. But her taking jabs by saying, like, instead of Danny, Miss Fanny, and even Tony's like, look, you know what her name is. And I'm actually surprised, the daughter even asked about Danny. So I thought that was pretty cool, showing that she does have an impression on her. But yeah, then the idea about the slumber party comes up. Basically, hey, how about we come over to, your mom? Oh, yeah, your mom's asking about me and what. How about we just have a slumber party like back in the old days? And then Tony's looking rather nervous about it. So then, the jump cut to the next morning when Danny finally wakes up and we see Tony on the couch, getting dressed for work. I honestly, in my opinion, I think Tony did go to that slumber party thing And he woke up like super early in the morning to rush over to Danny's place to hopefully get there before she wakes up and make it seem like he was there most of the night after that dinner, because he says, "Oh yeah, I came in and you were knocked out." Dinner was good. And, and Danny pretty much called it like it was. "Oh yeah, your wife was talking about me, wasn't she?" "No, the kids asked about you." "No, yeah, I know your wife was talking smack about me. I mean, your ex-wife was talking smack about me." But then Tony's like, "No, you ain't got nothing to worry about." But again, I think he lied about coming straight back after dinner. He probably stayed with the kids because you could tell he was feeling that pressure because, well, we do need to be a united front here. So I'll take one for the team. Sorry, Danny. But I do think that something foul is going on, because when he told Danny, "Well, I'm about to leave, because I want to beat this traffic." It's kind of funny he uses traffic twice as reasoning for something. "Hey, sorry kids, I'm late because, traffic is crazy." And then, "Well, let me get to work early because, hey, traffic is crazy." Yeah, it just doesn't work out because he's the VP. So, you would think he just roll into work whenever. But on top of that, I look at what he did as Danny-ish from last season. Remember when Preston was like, "Wait, why are you leaving early for work? I mean, you got like a couple hours before you usually leave." "I just want to beat traffic, Preston." And then she would show up just to talk with Tony. And then in this situation, you got Tony leaving early, probably to meet up with Tiffany. All I'm saying is, karma. Thy name is Danny. And another reason Danny is suspect is that the fact that Tony is skipping out on sex. I mean, remember early in the episode, he was pushing up on her and whatnot at her desk. And it's like, "Look, I'm going to text you a location. We'll go somewhere around the building where I do have a lock on the door, and then we'll get busy." But then all of a sudden it's like, "Nah, I got to go to work. This ain't right. This ain't right." Okay, so going over to the salon, Pam is scheduling customers for their appointments. Trey comes in, and he's honestly, interested in the business plan. So she breaks everything down from, being more serious after taking advice from Karen and talking with Andy, who lined her up with an attorney named Jeremy. That's me, filing the paperwork for the LLC and business license and taking into account the free sample advice that Trey gave her in an attempt to get the customers wanting more content and then hopefully getting new customers through the free content. There you go. But Zach comes in real quick and pretty much issues a warning to Trey like, "Hey man, watch out with this one." I thought that was pretty funny. And then Zach, is just checking in, make sure everything is, all good with Karen. And she's like, "Yeah, everything's fine. Don't need anything." And then, the conversation shifts gears to, "Hey, well, are they kicking yet?" And then he's like, curious about it. And then Karen's like, "Well, actually, in the middle of the night, they're really going at it. They're really active. And sometimes I think to give you a call so you can come feel it, but then I don't want to get cussed out by your bodyguard." And it's like, well, it's rare, if ever, that Fatima's the one cussing Karen out. Usually it's the other way around. And then on top of that, so you're thinking about calling Zach in the middle of the night to come over to feel the baby bump kicking, but do you ever consider calling or telling Aaron about it? I highly doubt it. And then, Zach kind of makes things better by saying, "Hey, me and Aaron buried the hatchet. We're cool for the sake of the kids." Well, that's good. And I was hoping that maybe you and Fatima could do the same. That ship has sailed. Well, the thing is, the ship has sailed, but Karen never opted to get aboard. She was doing whatever she could to be the theoretical iceberg to make the ship sink, because there have been more times where Fatima tried to be cordial with Karen than the other way around. I think he even tweeted out, "You know what? Karen has been disrespectful to Fatima more times than they've said yes ma'am or yes sir in the Oval." So Zach, I appreciate you trying to make things right, but here's the thing though. It's way more important that you and Aaron get along for the sake of your children with Karen. The Fatima Karen thing is a whole different beast in itself that doesn't need to be settled right now. They just have to act semi-cordial around each other, especially after the kids are born, and that's it. But you and Aaron, hey, it is what it is. Like, I think he was doing too much. And speaking of doing too much, it seems that they cut out the one scene from that photo that was advertised to be in the episode where he's feeling on the baby bump. So there's that. So he's shown the door, and that's it. Now, we do get this great scene where motherhood looks so good on her. So she's reading to Michael, and he's playing around, and they're talking about getting him ready to go to bed because school, he got to go to bed early. So then the conversation shifts to Zach mentioning how I went over there to talk with Karen and, about the whole thing with me and Aaron, acting cool, and hopefully you two can squash y'all's beef. And the thing is, like, I get what you're doing, Zach, again, I do, but you got to think of it from the perspective of Fatima, where she's the one who's been on the receiving end of far more disrespect than Karen has. So, like Fatima said, it has to go both ways, but don't count on it, Zach. And she does mention how, yeah, I like you, the kids are going to be raised together, and Michael included. And I'm just like, I mean, Michael and his sibling with Karen, yeah, but I mean, I don't know. I honestly, I would be interested to see how that would play out. But either way, she's like, no sex tonight because I got to wake up early. It's a long day at work. Plus, you got to get Michael ready for school. And Zach is like, oh, come on now. I'm all tense and everything. But then things take a weird turn here, because it's the middle of the night and Karen gets a phone call from that angry white woman who owns the building. And she's really short with Karen about the fact that the insurance premium wasn't paid and the grace period has passed. So you better fix this by the end of the week because the company credit card didn't go through. And then Karen's pissed off because, Pam. Now, some people want to put it on Trey. It's like, oh, Trey had something to do with it. I don't think so. I think it's definitely Pam, because she's the only other person we know of that have access to the company credit card. Even though earlier in the season, Karen said she would cut off access from the card because Pam buying that not even just roots to riches stuff, but buying all sorts of various things for the salon ran up the bill, and it wasn't even available funds to cover, the electricity and whatnot for the grand opening. So Karen had to come out of her own personal bank account to do it. And then Pam returned the stuff. And then later on, a similar issue happened with Roots to Riches product. And then Pam got cut off. But then in the very next episode, she was using the card again. And she was like, don't worry about it. I'm getting the money back. So my guess is that she probably spent more money getting more product to give out free samples. And that's just dumb. Honestly, I blame Karen more than Pam. And then she sees Trey kissing on some girl and takes photos of it, which honestly, some people are saying Trey has a twin. I don't think they're going that route. But then we go over to Andy and Jordan, and they're having a conversation. So first of all, I know earlier in the season, it was a plot thing where Andy had not told Jordan that she loves him. I could have sworn that she did say it at some point during the first part of the season. Maybe I'm misremembering it, but for her to finally say it now, I think is very awkward timing, because as they're praying over dinner and Gary's listening to everything, Jordan is just going on and on about, oh, thank you for the love we're sharing, and I hope this meal is, going to be great, and, protect my sister. I'm worried about her, and please. And look, Andy running her mouth is so dang annoying, but I have to admit, as a Christian, I cannot be mad at her, because God, the Holy Spirit, was going through Jordan and working its way through Andy, and then she was convicted in that moment. And the truth shall set you free. But in this case, it's resulting in Andy being locked up in this arranged marriage. Uh-oh. That's bad. That is bad. But what can you do? But yeah, I mean, look, I knew Jordan was going to be pissed off because Andy telling him one way or another, he'll be like, you knew something about my sister and you didn't tell me? Well, I don't know about the passage of time here, but in terms of what we see on screen, didn't Andy just learn about this yesterday? So it's not like she withheld it the entire time Penelope was missing. She literally just found out. But instead of clarifying, I don't know. It's just weird. It really is. Like, they really try to make this really dramatic, but Andy just keeps finding herself in crap, and she should not have said anything. Again, not blaming her. The Holy Spirit got her to talk, but it was really stupid. And then that led up to what was the cliffhanger ending, being that Gary confronts Andy in the parking lot the next morning. And at first, the plan was the photos, blackmail. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We made it through one, you know, scandal. We can make it through another. Well, let's take it to the next level. So remember that money I donated to the campaign? Yeah, well, actually, that's some dirty money from a cartel. And if they find out that, the money was used in the campaign, okay, that's no big deal. But he's laundering that money and putting it into his own pockets. The photos and the videos I have with the prostitutes and whatnot, yeah, that's not going to look really good. And they're probably going to come for blood. So you can either marry me, or I'm going to destroy Jordan's entire career and his life every single day. And well, hey, maybe he's going to end up in a coffin regardless. And if you and Penelope don't stop playing your little Nancy Drew detective stuff, then you're going to end up just like my son. Now, I don't think he's talking about the special needs son with Jasmine that he had, but I'm thinking he's referring to the unborn child that he killed when he tossed Penelope to the floor. That's what I'm thinking. And this man literally goes on to say, I'll see you at the altar. This is going to be great. I can't wait to smell your panties again. Really, man? Really? And then that's the end of the episode. So despite the title being called Taste of Freedom, Andy's about to lose all of hers. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Like I said, this episode started off promising, but when I really evaluated certain things, I had to drop the score. Like, again, Gary's plan, blabbing it out loud, nobody being around to hear or see it, and then Andy, just tell the feds about this. I don't know, but let's talk about it in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next video.